What about a power of attorney? Didn't you originally want a power of attorney?
Well, yeah.
And then you changed your mind about that?
I didn't change my mind. It's in the will now that my daughter's the power of attorney.
Well, you told him not to do it.
I didn't know whether I should or not.
Okay. Did you tell him, okay, never mind, I don't want to do that, after telling him to do it?
Maybe I did, but I...
All right, and then did you change your mind about whose names should be on the deed?
I didn't change my mind. My son couldn't catch up with him.
Okay.
So I said, just leave him off.
This is the plaintiff, Merrill Dotson. She says the defendant is an attorney she hired to add her kids' names to the deed of the house. But months went by and he did nothing. After a while, she got fed up with him, so she consulted with another attorney who advised she not put her kids' names on the deed. Now she can't get the defendant to return her money. There's no way she's going to allow him to steal her $350. So she's suing him here and now for it. This is the defendant, Dwayne Felton. He says he's been friends with the plaintiff for about 35 years. And it's a shame it's come to this, a lawsuit. Bottom line, he did a lot of work for the plaintiff regarding adding all her kids to the deed, then changing it to just her daughter, and he has earned every penny of the $350 she paid him. So he's not giving her a refund. He's accused of lousy lawyering.
All parties, please raise your right hand.
What you are about to witness is real. The participants are not actors. They are actual litigants with a case pending in civil court. Both parties have agreed to drop their claims and have their cases settled here before Judge Marilyn Milian in our forum, the People's Court.
People's Court is now in session. The Honorable Judge Marilyn Milian is presiding. Litigants have been sworn, Your Honor.
Thank you, Douglas.
You're welcome, Your Honor.
Okay, Ms. Dotson, what happened?
On August the 10th, I went to Mr. Felton's office for two reasons. I wanted him to do my notary over again. I'm a notary. And it had to be done over again because he made such a mess of it.
Because he what?
They sent it back. They said he didn't stamp it right.
Okay.
And they sent it back to me, and I had to take it back for him to do it over again.
Okay.
And then the second thing, I went there, I wanted my kid's name on my deed.
How long have you known each other?
Huh?
How long have you known him?
50 years.
Okay.
A long time. And I wanted to put my kid's name on the deed. Okay? And he said it would be $700. So I gave him $350. And I said, my daughter lives in Virginia and my son lives in Mexico. And when each come to town, they'll have to come to your office to sign. My daughter went to his office. She got a chance to sign it. But each time my son came, he was not in his office. So he had to leave and go back to Mexico, okay?
I'm sorry, each time your son came from where?
From Mexico.
How many times did your son come from Mexico?
About 2 times. He come about once a month.
Okay, but why can't he just sign whatever it is?
Dwayne wasn't in the office.
Right, but all that has to happen is that, what are we talking about the son signing?
One document.
In front of a notary or not in front of a notary?
Not in front of a notary.
Right, so it could be emailed to your son and your son could sign it and then your son could FedEx it back. Why would it have to be in person?
It didn't have to be.
Okay, so you're saying he's not in his office when your son happens to visit, and so then what happens?
Okay, then I let it go until it was October 13th. I spoke with Dwayne and he said that he would make arrangements to meet me the next week. Okay, but he didn't call or anything. That was the 13th of October. On the 21st of October, I went to his office. He was not there, but the girl downstairs, said he hadn't been in all day and she'd call him and see when he would be in. So she called Dwayne and he told her to tell me that he's going away for 2 weeks and he'll call me when he got back after 2 weeks. After 2 weeks, and a few days, I waited. Then I went to another attorney and spoke to him about putting my kids on my deed.
Why did you want to put the kids' names on your deeds?
I just thought they should be on my deed.
Right, so that it is easily transferred in the very unlikely event that you die.
Yes, right.
Well, like we're all going to die. All right, so it's better to make a plan. So why did that lawyer tell you that in your case it wasn't a good idea?
Because he said, suppose the kids get into trouble and a lien is put on them.
If the kids get sued and they are on your house,
yes,
and that somehow that could end up being subject to a lawsuit.
Right.
Okay.
So that's why he didn't think it was a good idea.
Well, there's trade-offs, you know? Like you don't have to go through probate, so it's a good idea, but then, you know, then it's property they own, so it might not be a good idea. Yeah.
But I'm looking out for me when I'm alive. When I'm dead, they can do anything they want. You know?
They can go through probate. All right, so you change your mind about doing it, and then what happens?
So he advised me, he said, do a will, put it in a will.
Put in a what? A will?
In a will, yes. So
Okay.
I made the will up. He made the will up.
Okay, what'd you pay him for the will?
$250.
Okay, go on.
Plus he did some notarizing for me too, but that's free.
Okay.
All right? And then I went back.
You're getting very cheap legal services all over town, and everyone wants to know. Is this other fellow also a friend of yours?
No.
Okay,
was not.
go
No,
on.
No. So I went past Dwayne's office, and happened he was there, and I told him that I was not satisfied with his, was not satisfied. I wanted my money back.
But hadn't he already prepared paperwork for you?
I didn't see it. He couldn't find it.
But didn't your daughter sign it?
She signed something, yeah. She signed one.
So you know he did something.
Yeah, he did something.
And originally when you hired him to do what?
To put my kid's name on the deed.
Anything else?
And to notarize my,
to fix your notary
Yes.
issue. But anything else?
no.
What about a power of attorney? Didn't you originally want a power of attorney?
Well, yeah.
And then you changed your mind about that?
I didn't change my mind. It's in the will now that my daughter's the power of attorney.
Well, you told him not to do it.
I didn't know whether I should or not.
Okay. Did you tell him, okay, never mind, I don't want to do that, after telling him to do it?
Maybe I did, but I
All
didn't.
right. And then did you change your mind about whose names should be on the deed?
I didn't change my mind. My son couldn't catch up with him.
Okay.
So I said, just leave him off.
Talk to me and tell me what happened, sir.
Well, as I said, I've known Meryl for many, many years, and so I gave her a generous price to do
How long have you been a lawyer?
45 years.
Okay.
So she came in, and she called me first. Is this what you want to do? I said, okay, come in. So she came in, and I did an interview. I had Meryl Dotson, power of attorney. She wanted to change the deed, add her daughter, Valeria, and she wanted to add her son, Orlando Coles. Of course, I explained to everybody the implications of putting your children on the deed.
What are the implications?
Well, if you have a kid who goes wrong, gets a judgment against them, then that judgment could be placed against the house. It's not rare, but I know both of her kids. Her daughter's very intelligent, good woman. She's married. I know her husband. I know her son. They're very good, upstanding people.
Not big risks in her case.
No, not big risks.
And what's the advantage of putting their names on the deed?
Well, the advantage of obviously is something happens to Meryl, then
There's no probate.
There's no probate.
Is that the one asset? Is the house the one asset?
Yes, yeah. I mean, people sometimes come to me, they want to do a trust, and I said, look, unless you got $2 or $3 million, there's no point doing a trust.
Did she have a will?
I don't know if she had a will. We didn't discuss it. I don't recall.
Does she have any other asset besides the house? Like any big asset besides the house? Does she own other property? What else do you own besides the house?
Lots of land in Louisiana.
Okay, so there's other real estate involved.
Yes,
okay, I got it. I'm just trying to get an idea of what the best thing.
Yeah, she did tell me what she was negotiating to sell land in Louisiana.
Okay.
And and I have a question mark. I had Will noted on my notes. I had a question mark.
Okay.
But we didn't get to that, or she didn't want to will at that time.
All right. So did she call you and change? So she gets the $350 to you on August 10th.
Right.
And then did she call you between August and October? And what did she say if she called?
Well, what happens is I got all the information from her, addresses, social security numbers, and I put together the entire packet of deed transfer documents.
Okay.
Which included the deed, the New York State New York City requires 3 other types of documents. So this is about 20 pages of stuff. I put all that together for her. I called her. I told her it's ready. She and her daughter.
When did you call her and tell her that?
Sometime in September. I don't recall.
And she's shaking her head. She says you hadn't done it.
Well, she came in. And
the daughter came in and signed that. Can I see it? So the daughter's signature's on that.
She and her daughter came in. Both of their signatures on.
Okay, so there's a date on their signature, right?
No, well, I didn't date the documents because
you were waiting for the son.
That's correct. Yep. Because if I date the document, and if I date the document and then the son doesn't come for 3 months, I can't submit that to the county clerk.
Right.
So she and her daughter signed all of the documents, and I have a tab there where Orlando was supposed to sign. That's his son.
When do you say she signed them?
I would put the date. I had August 10th on the deed, and probably late August, early September is when she and her daughter came in.
All right. And then when does she tell you, I don't want to do this anymore?
Well, it was before that. So when she left the office, the understanding was Orlando is away. I'm going to tell Orlando when he comes back into town to call you to come in and complete signing the regular papers. I said, fine. I put the documents aside, waiting for either her to call me or Orlando to call me. So I didn't hear anything until I got a call from her when I was away saying she wanted to come in to see me. She didn't want to do anything. She didn't want to go forward.
When did you go away?
It was the week after Thanksgiving.
Okay, what happens in October? Anything?
No.
You're still waiting around for Orlando? All right, so when does she call you to tell you, I've changed my mind?
Well, the first time I was away on vacation, and I got a call from her. I said, she said, I don't want to do this anymore. I don't want to do this anymore. I said, okay, give me, I'll be back, I think the first part of December. I said, I'll be back and come in to see me. So I'm in the office one day and she just comes up.
This is in December?
Yes.
November the 11th.
November the 11th, she says. All right, don't worry about it. It doesn't matter. So she comes in to see you sometime in November after you come back from your trip.
After I'm back from vacation.
Okay.
What do you? I don't want to do this anymore. I don't want to do this anymore. I want my money back. I want my money back. I don't want to do it. I said, well, I already did it. I already did. Well, where's the paperwork? Where's the paperwork? So I showed her the deed, and I said, where's the other paperwork? Where's the other paperwork?
What other paperwork?
Well, the stack I gave you, the deed's on top. Oh, the deed's on top, and the pages with the stickers on them.
Yeah.
All those other papers, they were separate. So she was saying, where's the other papers? Where's the other papers? So I'm trying to find the other papers. What had happened was, I was trying to figure out, did I file them under Dotson or did I file them under Merrill? Where did I file? Where's the file? So I'm looking for the file for those papers. And you can't find the papers. You can't find the papers. Just patient. I'll find the papers. And then she stormed out. And after she left.
So after 50 years that you guys have been friends, over $350 were in court? Why do you think you should get your $350 back just because you change your mind after you pay somebody?
I didn't change my mind. I'm sorry, Dwayne Felton has not told the gospel truth. That attorney, the other attorney, explained to me why I shouldn't do this. Not Dwayne. Dwayne never said a word about why I should do this. It was on the 11th that I came to
Listen, it's not clear that you shouldn't do it. It's a trade-off. Like, people decide if they want to do it one way or another. It's not like Dwayne gave you bad advice. Besides, you're the one who walked in there saying, I want my kids' names on my deed. So you already had an idea in your head of what you wanted. Right. There are pros and cons, and yes, he should be explaining the pros and the cons.
But he didn't. The other attorney explained the pros and cons.
Okay.
And I did cons over one.
Why? Are your kids full of judgments? Like, are people suing them all the time?
Just in case. He says it's up to you. But he said just in case something happens, the house is in their name and you lose your house.
So you end up getting a will for $250.
Yes.
And if you had decided, well, she really just needs a will, how much would you have charged her for the will?
Well, I usually charge $350 for a will.
Yeah. So wouldn't it make kind of more sense to do the will rather than not do the will?
Will versus
the deed, changing the names on the deed.
If you want to avoid probate, and you want...
Because if there's a will, I don't know that much about wills. If there's a will, they might still have to go to probate, or they absolutely have to go to probate.
No, you don't have to go. You may not have to go to probate if there's a will, but you will have to prepare a deed transferring the property.
So you pay me now, pay me later. Somebody's going to be transferring a deed.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, listen, there's several different ways to do it. You decided to do it a different way, and the guy had done work for you. I can't believe you're rolling your eyes. It's $350.
I didn't see that.
Okay.
He couldn't find it.
But didn't your daughter sign it? I'm looking at your signature and your daughter signed it, so you had already... Stop. You had already seen it, right?
You know what?
Hadn't you already seen it? Because you signed it.
If Dwayne had called me and told me this, we wouldn't be here.
If he had told you what?
That what the work he had done.
But he says he did tell you the work that he had done.
He didn't.
And you signed something.
He couldn't find it. He couldn't even find it.
I understand.
She signed one
Did
page.
you not come into the office with your daughter and sign a bunch of papers?
She only signed. I didn't come with her when she signed it. She went by herself to sign it.
Didn't you sign the papers?
I don't
Is her
remember.
signature on the papers?
Yeah.
Just the daughter.
Oh, her signature's on
Right. So you came in to sign papers. You knew he had done some work, and you're mad and coming to court and suing a friend of 50 years who gave you a price of $350.
700.
Because
700.
you changed your mind and didn't want. I'm not going to order him to pay you back the money. My verdict in this case is for the defendant.
So the plaintiff loses her lawsuit against the lawyer. She may have even changed her mind during the middle of the case. Let's see what she has to say. Ms. Dotson, what's your reaction to what has just happened today?
He has evidence that he made up a lot of it. I have mine written down. I write down everything every day, what happens. And everything he said did not happen.
Well, the judge took his word for it and said that he's not going to give you your money back. He earned his money.
Okay.
So he's a friend, but, I think the judge was more upset that you're willing to bust up a 50-year friendship over, $350.
Well, he made no attempt to iron it out.
All right. Well, if that's the way you feel, I'm sorry. You have another attorney you can use now?
Yes, I do.
You're okay with? You do. All right. Well, good luck to you. Sorry it went this way. All right. Well, let's see what Mr. Felton, he's the defendant, what he has to say about this, because obviously he had done some work. Mr. Felton, I gather you're not too surprised by the judge's verdict, are you?
No, justice was done. I'm just sad that a good friend had to be in court with a good friend.
Yeah, I mean, especially if she's really a good friend. I would say that I don't think she's a good friend anymore, from her point of view.
Yeah.
That's a shame, isn't it?
Yeah.
What a shame. All right, sir. Well, you certainly explained yourself well. You had a lot of evidence, and the judge found in your favor. So congratulations.
Doug, it is really important if you hire a lawyer to make sure that you get an itemized bill every month to see exactly what's being charged. And in that bill, it should say what each charge is for, whether it's phone calls, meetings, document review, whatever. Make sure you get that.
I live in a mobile home park for 4 years now. The new owners raised the lot rent twice a year, sometimes without even notifying anyone. They would charge fees or higher rent for month-to-month people than people who had long-term leases as well. Can they do this?
Your rights in court are to have the contract that you've entered into enforced. Mm-hmm. What is your contract? Do you have a year-long lease? Do you have a month-to-month lease? And that's what your rights are. So when you have a month-to-month, there's something in it for you and there's something in it for the landlord. What's in it for you is you can skedaddle. You don't need to stick around longer than you want to. Right. You can give, whatever the notice is in your state, 30 days, 60 days, or your county. In our county, they raised it to 60 days.
Or you just pack up and leave in the dark of night.
Well, that's or whatever. But so you get flexibility, but so does the other guy. So. Yeah. So that's the answer to month-to-month versus long-term. But the question, because this person is a month-to-month, of how many times a landlord can raise the rent depends on your jurisdiction. The bottom line is the landlord owns the land and they can do whatever they want. Right. up until the point that the law tells them they can't go past this. For example, in our county, because of the big rent crush and the problem, after COVID and people finding out, our county changed the notice to 60 days. The rest of Florida's 30 days. Miami-Dade County is 60 days.
Right.
So there may be a local regulation or a statewide regulation that says you can only raise the rent with X days notice, which in effect limits the number of times the landlord can raise.
60 days notice to raise the rent by a landlord.
If the rent is being raised more than X, and 60 days notice to terminate a month to month.
And certainly there can be states and counties.
But that's in our county. Most the rest of Florida's 30 days.
And certainly there can be states and counties and cities that have separate rules that limit percentage-wise rate increases. You can only raise rent annually by 5, 10%,
by X
whatever
percent,
it might be. Right, and along with those written notice requirements.
So you really have to research the law where you are, and thank goodness for the internet, you don't actually even have to hire a lawyer to figure it out.
Right, not everything is wrong on the internet. There's some right answers out there if you weed through them, you sift through them carefully, right?
Yeah.
This is the plaintiff, Maria Mwamba. She says she brought her car into the defendant's shop because it was shimmying and shaking, and he told her she needed a new alternator. She paid him and went on her way with her new alternator installed, but had the same problems. When she brought it back to the defendant, he agreed to a full refund and is now reneging on his promise. She's suing for $3,000, the amount she's owed. This is the defendant, Ahmed. He says he agreed to refund $200 to the plaintiff because she was a good customer. She kept the new alternator and is now suing him for $3,000 for wasting her time? Please, this woman's wasting his time. He's accused of performing unnecessary work.
All parties, please raise your right hands.
Welcome back to the People's Court. Next case on the docket. The plaintiff says that she brought her shimmying and shaking car into the defendant's repair shop, but when she got the car back, it had the same problems that she had before she brought it in. Now, the defendant says the plaintiff needed a new alternator. He installed it and did nothing incorrectly. It's the case of shimmy, shake, and sue.
Thank you, Douglas.
You're welcome, Yana.
Ms. Mwamba, you are suing Mr. Ahmed's company for $3,000. You say they owe you for doing a faulty or unnecessary repair?
Correct.
Tell me about that.
Okay, so on March 21st, I had some issues with my car. I was driving, and like all of the signs came on the dashboard, and so I took it to his shop. It's right by my house.
Had you ever used them before?
No, I have not, actually.
So why did you pick them? Because they were close?
No, yeah, they were close. I just Googled it. So I brought the car there. Long story short, I believe his manager, he was the one that looked at my car. Immediately when he looked at it, he said, "Oh, it's the alternator." So me not knowing about cars, I said, "Okay, no problem. I just wanted the car to be fixed." So he said, "All right, the total will be," I believe he said $620. I said, "Can you take $520?" He said, "No problem. I also have all the documents to show." So he was like, "You can leave the car today, but you would have to give me a down payment of $200, and then tomorrow you give the balance of $320. I said, "Perfect, no problem." The next day I came to pick up the car. Everything was fine. I immediately drove to work, so I couldn't.
When you turned on the car, the lights weren't on the dash.
Correct. Everything was fine when I drove the car off the lot. In fact, he was the one that actually dropped me back to my mother's house as a courtesy. So the next day I went to work. Everything was fine, but now I was dropping my coworker home, and as I dropped her home and I pulled out of her driveway, my car immediately stopped. Like everything that happened the day before, it happened again.
Wait, I'm sorry, what had happened the day before?
So the day before, what happened was, as I was driving, my car would start to like shake a little bit, and then all of the signs from the car would come on.
All the warning lights?
All of the warning lights
Okay,
would come
so
on
what happened this next day?
The same thing happened.
All of the warning lights went back on?
The same thing happened.
Okay.
So, but luckily, I was able to turn the car off for like 5-10 minutes, and I was able to drive it home because I was only like 10 minutes
When you
away.
turned it back on, were all the lights on?
When I turned it back on, no. It didn't. So I was able to go back home, but the same thing happened.
Did it shake on your way home?
It did. It was. So I was driving with my hazards on. I was driving very slowly.
But was the car shaking also?
A little bit, yeah, it was.
Okay.
But either way, the same thing happened from the day before happened the next day. But thankfully, I was able to drive the car home. So now the next morning, the same, as I turned that's the only thing. Like when I would turn the car on, sometimes it would turn on, sometimes it wouldn't. So I brought it back to him. He wasn't there, but I showed, I believe his name was Ahmed. I believe that I showed the manager and I said, hey, look, and I came with my mom. I said the same thing that happened the day before, it happened again. He said, okay, I'm working on a few cars, leave it, and I will come back the next day. I'll come back later that day. Long story short, when I came back, he said, well, it looks like it wasn't the alternator. It looked like it was another issue, but he wasn't able to order the parts. So I can confirm that he said he'll give me the refund, but because I paid in increments of 2, he'll refund me in increments of 2. So I paid via Apple Pay. So then I, proceeded with the process. The refund printed for the $200, but I never received a receipt for the $320. So I believe the system was malfunctioning. So I said, is everything okay? He said, yeah, it went through, but because I was rushing for work, I didn't really pay no mind. The next day I did receive the refund for the $200, but I never received the refund for the $320. So when I waited the 3 to 7 days.
Why would you get all of your money back if you have a new alternator? I understand.
No. He took the new one that he put in, and he put my old one back.
He took out the alternator that he had put in, and he had your bad the alternator taken out, lying around, and he. How long did it take him to do that?
I'm not sure because I left the car there and I went to work, and I came back. He told me to come back.
When you left the car there, it was for him to figure out what was wrong.
Correct.
He didn't have a chance to talk to you. Came back to find out what was wrong, and what he tells you then is what? I took the liberty of switching alternators?
Correct. He said it looks like it wasn't the alternator, it was something else. So, and the only reason why because obviously I don't know about cars, so you can show me what an alternator is and I wouldn't even know. So when I went to the dealership, they was the one that actually printed out a summary in which I had that had nothing to do with the alternator.
What was wrong with your car?
I have the report to show. It was a whole bunch of things, but it wasn't the alternator.
Right. How much was that bill?
Okay, repair estimate. So here you go. It had nothing to do with the alternator. But when he looked at my car, and like I said...
hold on, I'm reading.
Sorry.
Cabin air filter replacement, engine air filter replacement. How did changing filters solve the problem you had?
Well, no, that was
They changed some tires and did an oil service.
So when you go to the dealership and you explain a problem, they usually run a report on everything that's wrong with your car. So when I explained to him what happened before, they just run an estimate on everything that's wrong with your car.
Did you pay this and have the repair done?
No, I only ended up doing like a few things on there. I really can't remember what, but I didn't do the whole thing. But when I explained to him the issue specifically about the car stopping and the mortgage, he said something about where I was getting my oil change.
So all you got was an oil change and change of the drive belt?
Yeah, I think I ended up doing the oil change and the drive belt. It was the drive belt specifically because he said where I was getting my oil changes. I believe that it was like an aftermarket, so that what was ruining my car. But that was the issue as to why my car.
What was an aftermarket?
The oil changes that I get from this place by my house. He said that the place that I was going to, it wasn't the product that they were using weren't good for my car.
The oil?
Yeah, that's what the dealership told me.
Okay, but what was wrong with the drive belt? What did they do? It just says drive belt, and then it has a price. I don't know what they did.
I'm going to be completely honest with you. I don't know about cars, so the terminology on that.
All right, let me hear from you, Mr. Ahmed. Did you work on her car?
No,
Okay.
I did not. My mechanic and my manager did take care
All
of
right,
her.
so what happened here?
She came in, like she said, for the service, and they diagnosed the problem and turned to be the alternator no good. So she left the car, I took her home.
How did they diagnose it was the alternator?
My mechanics, they have the tools and...
Do you have the computer check or no?
Yes, we do.
So are you you weren't there, but are you saying that they did a computer check? And
yes.
And that told them that the alternator...
The alternator no good.
All right, so what happens?
Like I said, she left the car and I took her home, and my shop, they did take care of it, and she came and took the car. And then the next day or a couple of days later, she came back she has an issue with the same problem. So we told her, okay, we're going to change another alternator for her. Maybe the alternator is no good. She said no, she doesn't want to change the alternator and she just want her money back.
Okay, but when did she say that? When she dropped it off for you to look at it?
The next time, yeah, the next time.
Right, when she picked it up, she said that? Or
It
when
was
she...
fine. No, the first time it was fine. The car was fine when
Yes,
she
I know.
took it.
The second time, is it when she dropped off?
Yeah,
Why
when
is she dropping off the car if she wants her money back?
With the issue with the car
Listen to my
again.
question.
Okay.
When does she tell you I want my money back? At the end of the day when she's picking up her car? The second time?
When
At
she
the-
came right away. It's not. She came in and waited for it, for the
Okay.
car to diagnose.
So what did you guys diagnose the
That-
second time?
The second time with the same problem with the alternator. So we told her that we're going to take the she's saying that the alternator with the same. We tell her, okay, we're going to try to
Wait,
take
I'm
the
sorry.
alternator.
So you hooked it up to a computer and it told you the same thing, or what? Or you just figured this alternator was bad?
It could be the alternator no good. We told her that, let's try, we'll put another alternator for her. Maybe it's going to be fine. She said no. She just want her old alternator back.
And did you put it back?
No, because that's a core. We send it back to the auto parts.
What does that mean?
Core is the old part. When you take it back, you get money back for that, like couple of.
Okay, so when you put in a new alternator,
Yes.
you give them the old alternator in
It's the
exchange
part
in order
of the
to
price.
pay less.
Yes, they deduct
Okay.
it from the price.
Okay.
So we send it. We tell her that we don't have the old alternator here.
So you never put her old alternator back in
She's-
there?
no,
How long
she's
does it take to change an alternator?
It takes about maybe 2 hours.
Yeah, right. So the idea that they changed your alternator to the old alternator, that sounds a little unbelievable to me. And it's also not anything you happen to have mentioned when you filed your lawsuit originally. You never said they put in the old alternator. So what happens? What's the debate
trying
you
to
have
finish.
between what is a manager? I want to speak to the manager. Is the manager
sure, no problem.
available to talk to me?
Yeah, available. I will,
The manager?
Yes, he is.
Not the mechanic. I'm interested in the manager.
Sure, I have his number.
Okay, because that's the one who had the conversation, right?
Yes.
Why don't we get the manager on? He's not present. He's not physically here.
No, he's not visiting.
Okay, can you call him on your phone?
Sure.
May I speak?
Yes,
I
you.
can confirm that the conversation in regards to the refund, he was not present, so I can confirm that he doesn't know that Ahmed.
Why do you
did
think
send-
I'm trying to get the manager on the phone?
No, I was just going to say that I just want to let you know that he agreed to give me the full refund.
Yeah, I heard
so
you the
I'm not
first time you said
sure.
that. Now I'm going to hear what he has to say about it. Go ahead. Manager meaning. Go ahead.
Hello. Okay, I'm here in the court, and the judge she would like to hear from you what happened. I'm going to put you in a speaker.
Do you want to bring me the phone? What do you want to
You
do?
want a speaker? Yeah, I'll send you my phone.
Hold on.
Hello, what is your name?
I'm Jad.
Okay. All right. I just want to know what your discussion with Ms. Mwamba was when, on the second day, when she goes to pick up the car. What is the discussion you have with her?
As I remember when she came on March 22nd, that day she has complained, and it was a problem in the alternator. The alternator is not working, is not charging. And then we did the job that day.
How long does it take you to put in a new alternator?
Maybe 2 hours and a half, 3 hours.
Okay. How did you decide that it was the alternator?
My mechanic, he checked the car, he put the tester. We have the tester, we have the machine,
Okay.
the computer, the scanner.
All right. So now on that second day, when she comes in and she says, I want my money back, what happens?
Yeah, she told me I want my money back, and I told her that day, I can't give you your money back because we did the job. We bought a new alternator. The alternator, the part, and the labor cost me money. And she told me, I told him if the old alternator is here, I can put the old alternator for you, but it's not here. It's gone to the company. They took the old one as a core to rebuild it.
What is the drive belt?
The belt is to let the alternator to charge the battery and everything. The other.
Okay, had you put in a new drive belt or no?
No, I didn't think so.
So they changed the drive belt and it solves the problem?
Yes, I never had the problem again.
All right, thank you very much. Okay, here, give that back. Go ahead.
Judge, before God, he promised me a full refund, or else I would have not left that.
Okay, do you have any evidence of that? Because it sounded fishy to begin with. I got to be honest with you. Because if he promised you a full refund, why not just give you the full refund? What difference does it make?
Well,
why give you $200 and then not give you $320 because a machine magically breaks between the $200 and the $320? Oh, he said because I gave it to him until he has to give it to me. That's ridiculous.
No,
if he's going to give you a full refund, he just does one full refund. It makes so different. He doesn't have to do it in two. Nothing you're saying makes sense. He put the old alternator back in. I know that didn't happen because they take the old alternator, they get $20 for it off of the new alternator. So I know that didn't happen. Plus, it takes 2 hours to put in an alternator. So I know that didn't happen. So I don't trust you.
So I made the.
So what are you going to say that's going to make me trust you?
I made payments in increments of 2.
So what?
He had to
so what?
it.
It's still, 2 plus 2 is still 4, right?
My whole argument today is that he promised me a full
I don't
refund,
believe you.
And I did not receive.
You know what I think happened? I think you said, give me $200 and I'll be happy. He gave you $200 and then you sued for the other $320. In fact, that's not true. You didn't then sue for the other $320. You sued for $3,000.
No,
because your time was wasted. Who's going to pay me for my wasted time? Anybody?
Take Ubers.
Verdict for the defendants.
Thank you.
So the plaintiff doesn't get $3,000. She loses. In fact, she doesn't get anything. I don't think she's going to be very happy. Let's find out. Ms. Mwamba, what's your reaction to the judge's verdict?
It's just unfair because I know he promised me a full refund and he's lying, but it's okay. It doesn't even matter anymore.
You know, it's funny. You say it's okay, it doesn't matter anymore. Sure, it matters to you, doesn't it?
I mean, of course, because nonetheless, regardless of how much I sued him for, I still I'm still lost out of $320. But it's just the principle that he promised me a full refund, and I never received a full refund.
You couldn't prove it to the judge, so I'm sorry about that.
Unfortunately, I couldn't because it was word to mouth. But
yep, you're right. That's right. All right, that'll do it for you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So let's see what Ahmed has to say, because he doesn't have to pay any money to her. He's probably happy, I think.
Hello.
Ahmed, how do you feel about the outcome of this case?
I'm feeling
relieved.
Yes, good.
You have many cases like this
No,
where people
that's
sue
really,
you?
This is the. It could be. This is the second time in my experience with lawsuit on my place. Yeah, no.
Yeah. All right. Well, listen, good for you.
Thank you.
You have prevailed, and congratulations.
No problem.
Okay?
Thanks.
Well, Doug, you can always go to small claims court if you're suing an auto repair shop, but many of these auto repair shops are licensed by the state. So you should find out if there's a licensing agency in your state, and you can call them or you can write them or email them, and they may have a mediation service that allows you to resolve the dispute, possibly short of going to court.
Does a landlord have the right to not renew your lease until my adult children leave, even though they're on the lease right now?
Yeah, the landlord has the right to not renew your lease because he doesn't like your face.
He says, well, I found out you're a Yankee fan, so...
Yeah, that's it. You're a Yankee fan, so we'll renew your lease. I mean, you have the right that you negotiated. The right you negotiated is that lease. Mm-hmm. You don't have the right to have that in perpetuity. You have exactly your lease.
Right.
So if the adult children are on there, he can't get them out while they're on the lease, unless they're breaking other rules of the lease or whatever. But apparently that's not the case. If he doesn't want to renew you, he doesn't renew you.
Right, and this kind of brings back to that whole thing we've talked about a few times before, which is that relationship dynamic between landlord and tenant, and why it's important for both parties to make it a cordial or friendly kind of relationship, so that when something goes wrong on landlord's end, tenant understands. When something goes wrong on tenant's end, maybe the landlord understands, and there's a little more give and take. But it sounds like maybe this landlord has an issue with the
adult children,
right? Who are staying there.
And it sounds like this tenant thinks she has a right to renew her residential lease, and you don't.
And it doesn't matter.
It
doesn't matter if the whole neighborhood is on her lease.
Yeah.
The entire block is on her lease.
It's the two parties have to renew it because they both want to.
Right.
You know.
And the landlord doesn't sound all that keen.
No.
on doing it.